Hey guys, today we're going to be working with the if function. Now this is probably one of the two most important functions in Excel, along with VLOOKUP, so make sure that you understand it. Throughout the video we're going to be covering the three most important parts of the if function. Now the normal vanilla if function that you have to know down cold, the nested if, which is going to separate you from the bunch, and a new version of the if function called Ifs Function. Now this is only available to Office 2016 users and higher. But again, this is the future, so make sure that you understand it even if you have a lower version of Office. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, let's get started with the if function. Now the if function is usually my classroom students' first approach to Excel functions, and for that reason I always write, and it is a marriage example. You'll have it in your file. Now, what I usually do is pick on some poor girl in my class and ask her, alright, if you were grading guys from a scale of 1 to 10, what grade would a guy have to have in order for you to consider getting married? Alright? Now, girls being the picky choosers that they are, they always answer with something like, the guy should be a 10, or maybe, if she's being generous, the guy can be a 9. Alright? So with that, we can decide that if she meets a guy that is either a 9 or a 10, she can consider getting married. Otherwise, stay single, keep looking. So, that's a very simple example for us to understand, like logically and in plain English. And I have it here written out for you. If the guy she met rates 9 or higher in her scale of 1 to 10, then she's going to consider getting married. If the guy she met rates less than 9, then she's going to stay single. Alright, so that's in plain English. And Excel pretty much, the if function in Excel serves the same purposes as our little dating formula right here. If a condition is met, then do this. And if the condition is not met, then do this other thing. All right? So how does it work? I typed it out here for you guys. What we have here is, notice we have a formula that consists of 3 parts. Well, 4. The first part is just the if. Then we have this thing where we're evaluating if the guy is equal or greater to than 9. All right? So that means that is the logical test. We're testing out if something is going to be either true or false. All right, a logical test, for it to be logical, it has to return either true or false, no more than 2 possibilities. All right, so in this instance, it's either equals or greater than 9 or not. Now, if the logical test turns out to be true, then we have this part here where the result is going to be marry. All right. And if it doesn't turn out to be true, because Excel always needs like the alternative, if not, then just next. All right, stay single, keep looking. All right, guys, so that's pretty much the basics of the if function. Now, let's say it applied to a business scenario. It's not just about dating. Excel can solve a lot of things, but in this instance, the discount policy is going to be that we're going to get a 15% discount if the customer bought more than $2,500 in a single sale. So say, for example, just with simple inspection, we'll notice that this purchase of 6 chairs for $500 totals $3,000. Yes, this customer deserves a discount. However, this customer right here bought 3 bedside tables for $250 for a grand total of $750. They don't deserve a discount. All right, guys? So we have to use the if function to figure out if they do or don't deserve a discount. Now, we're going to later calculate the discount and so on, but right now, I just want to introduce the if function. So I usually tell my classroom students to go ahead and type equals if, all right? And open parentheses. With that done, then we can go ahead and click here on fx, all right? It says insert function. It's this fx right here. And we'll get this little dialog box. Notice how we get the 3 parts for our if function that I outlined before right here. The logical test, the value if true, and the value if false. Now, the logical test is, how are we going to know if someone deserves a discount? Well, we're going to grab cell E9, which is where the total price is, and then we are going to compare it. E9 is greater than, well, if it is greater than or equals to, if it is greater than or equals to 2,500, because that is the threshold, then, well, if that turns out to be true, then we're going to offer a discount. True, the discount is true. And if that turns out to be not the case, then false. There is no discount, all right? That's an if function in its most simple expression, all right? The if function in its most simple expression. Press OK, and there we go. True. So a discount applies in this instance. Now, let's try it again. On cell F10, I'm going to do it once more, but check it out. I'm going to type it in directly without using the assistant. And I'm going to do another modification. If cell E9 is greater than or equals to, I'm not going to type in 2500 now. I'm going to go ahead and select 2500 here from L10 because it's already written down. So I just can go ahead and reference it. And pay close attention, I'm going to do an absolute reference, all right? Absolute reference means that I press F4 on my keyboard and I get these little dollar signs up, all right? Now that means that it doesn't matter where we drag the formula to, it's always going to be referencing L10. Now, the value, if that turns out to be true, guys, is going to be true. All right, notice how I am going from logical test to value if true by just pressing a comma. And now value if true lights up right here. And that means that is what I'm going to type in, false. Now I want to go over to value if false, then type in a comma and go ahead. When I'm done with the formula, I can choose to close my parentheses or not. If I don't close my parentheses and press enter, Excel is going to do it for me anyway. All right, guys? So with that done, let me return this to its usual size and check it out. I'm going to drag everything down and I'm going to be getting my if function telling me whether a customer deserves a discount or not. All right, all the way out to all 70 sales. Now, that's a good example of an if function, but we can also mix my if function with other kinds of operations in Excel. All right, so say for example, let me make this a little bit larger for you so that you are able to see. I'm going to type in if, well, for this column, we have to calculate the discount amount in dollars, all right? So say for example, for this second sale where nobody deserves a discount, then the discount amount in dollars is going to be a big fat zero, all right? But for this amount here, where they actually deserve that discount, we have to multiply the $3,000 times the discount amount, 15%, and that's going to give us our discount amount in dollars, all right? So let's go ahead. Equals if, open parenthesis, and go ahead to my fx function right here. All right, the logical test is going to be, I'm going to grab, again, it's the same as before, grab my total price and check out if it's greater than or equals to 2,500, all right? Now, the value if true in that instance is, if this actually turns out to be greater than 2,500, then we have to multiply the total price times 15%, all right? As an alternative, instead of typing down 15%, I could go ahead and select this one right here and do an absolute reference. Notice how right here I'm getting the exact same result, $450 of discount. Now, if the value is false, if the condition is not met, if the criterion is not met, then it has to return a 0, all right? It has to return a 0 right there, and that's it. Press OK. And there we go, guys. We have our discount amount in dollars, $450. If we were to drag this out all the way down and avoid the formatting, fill without formatting. All right, notice how for the bedside tables, we get $0 discount because, well, they're not above the threshold, all right? Whereas for these 7 tables that they bought, yeah, we get an absolute discount. All right. So what is the final price, guys? What is the final price? It's quite simple. It's just the total price minus the discount amount, and that's it. We get $12,550, the final price of the sale. Whereas this person that bought 3 bedside tables, no discount, he'd still have to pay the $750. Now you might be wondering, okay, I get it, I get the ifs, but what is the advantage of, instead of typing in 2,500 or 15%, referencing it from here? Well, that's a pretty good question. If store policy changes, say for example the new threshold is 3,500, I can just type it in there and the entire table changes for me, all right? If the store policy changes and now we are offering just 7% discount, then I just type it in here and the entire table changes, all right? That is the advantage of doing absolute references over to everything out here. Now I have a lot of horror stories about people who hard-coded data into their formulas, and when store policy actually changed in real life, they didn't catch it. So a lot of invoices went wrong. Guys, my recommendation is never hard code anything, like as we did here, never hard code any numbers into formulas. Always type them into another cell and do references. All right. With that said, let's move into something a little bit more advanced, the nested if function. All right, what's happening here? In your previous examples, say for example marriage, you only had two possibilities: get married or stay single. Here, two possibilities: either you have a discount or you don't. But what happens if we have three possibilities, three outcomes? All right, remember the nature of the if function is that it evaluates a criterion. I mean, it checks out a criterion, and if that criterion turns out to be true, then it does something. Otherwise, it does something else. All right, only two possible outcomes. Here we have three possible outcomes. If the purchase is greater than $3,500, then we have to offer a 30% discount. If it's between $2,500 and $35,000, then we offer a 15%. And if it's between 0 and $2,500, no discount for you. All right. So when we have that problem, the most normal way to solve it is using something called a nested if. Now that is not an official Excel formula. That just means that we're going to be stacking one if within another if. All right. So we have here a total price, and once more we're getting asked for the discount amount in dollars. Let me make this a little bit larger, so that, no, that's way too large, 72. How about 22? All right, so that you can actually watch. All right, guys, so for this if function, for nested ifs, we are not going to be able to use the insert function menu. All right, so you have to go and rough it out. All right, so the logical test in this instance, I'm going to start always either from smallest to largest or from largest to smallest. It really depends on whether we're looking for something greater than or lesser than. In this instance, we're going to grab the total price and we're going to check out if that total price is greater than or equals to, well, just as greater than here, so it's just greater than. It's greater than $3,500. Always remember to do an absolute reference. Then comma, that means that we're going to be offering the total price times this discount amount. And remember, since we're referencing something from an outside table, do the absolute reference thing. All right. Okay, so otherwise, well, in the previous exercise, otherwise meant 0. All right. But it's not the case right now because we still have to check if we can offer a 15% discount or a 0% discount. Guys, this is the part where the if function fails, but we can rescue ourselves by typing in yet another if function. All right. So once more, open up the if, and now we have to do another logical test. We're going to check if the sales here are greater than 2,500. If they actually turn out to be greater than 2,500, then we're going to offer the sales times the 15% discount. Remember to the absolute reference. Or if they don't turn out to be 2,500, well, we're only left with one single possibility, the 0%. All right? Close parenthesis, close parenthesis. Notice how I'm closing two parentheses right here because I opened up two if functions. Now, guys, just one note. My classroom students always make two big mistakes. The first one is they don't respect the commas. All right, commas are really important, so always make sure that you're following along with the helper and you know where to place the commas. Number two, this second if function that we opened right here inside the first one doesn't require an equal sign. All right, just type in if. That's it. All right, no equal sign required. Press enter, and we're going to get the discount amount in dollars. Notice that this one, being a $3,000 sale, should get 15%. But if we were to change the quantity, say for example to 10 shares, now we get a bigger discount because we get the 30% discount. All right, guys? Now, several things that you have to remember about nested ifs. The first one is always make sure to check the conditions from largest to smallest or smallest to largest. Never start at the middle. All right, I'm going to explain that in a little bit. And second, notice that the greater than or lesser than symbols, they're always moving in the same direction. All right, you don't want to have them facing each other. You always want them moving in the same direction. All right. Now, one last question I always get from my students is, why did we check out if it was greater than $3,500 and then if it was greater than $2,500, but at no point we checked if it was smaller than 3,500. You get it? I mean, we didn't check if a number was smaller than 3,500. All right, this is the part where you have to put your brains to work. We're going to check out if something is greater than $3,500. If it is, then we just apply the discount and the function ends there. That's it. No more checking. But if it's not greater than $3,500, then we're going to check if it's greater than $2,500. All right. Since we already concluded that it wasn't greater than 3,500, then the number that we're evaluating right here, by definition, has to be smaller than 3,500. If it was larger than 3,500, it would have been caught on the first logical test, all right? But if the logical test led it through into the second logical test, the one that checks for 2,500, then that means that that number is already lesser than 3,500. All right, guys, I hope that makes sense for you. And that's the reason why we never start at the middle, all right? We always start from top to bottom or from bottom to top. Depends on the nature of the exercise. All right, so the final price is really simple. It's just the total price minus the discount amount. And we can just drag these two formulas down. Fill without formatting. Oh, come on. Fill without formatting. There we go. Okay. I absolutely forgot to do an absolute reference here. There we go. And fill without formatting. All right, guys, there we go. Now we have our problem solved. Notice how the three bedside tables, they still don't qualify for a discount, whereas these 7 tables, yes, they qualify for a massive 30% discount. All right, let's move on. One thing about the nested ifs that a lot of people don't like is that they start making like really big unwieldy formulas. All right, notice how we had to nest one if within another if, and that was just for 3 different outcomes. If you have 10 different possible outcomes, you're going to have at least to write in 9 ifs. Imagine how long that formula would go. All right, now fortunately there are alternatives to nested ifs. The first one is an approximate VLOOKUP search. That's going to be the topic of another video. The second one is for those of you, privileged few, that have Office 2016 or higher, we can use the ifs function, all right, as plural. Ifs, all right, ifs plural. Now, guys, ifs plural basically comes ahead and rescues us from the horrible nested ifs. So, how does it work? Pretty much in the exact same way. Notice that we have the exact same example as the nested if function. Now we're going to be applying an ifs function. So I'm going to type in ifs, all right? Notice how I have ifs written down there. If it doesn't show up in your Excel, you don't have it installed. That's it, all right? There are some people with Office 2016 that don't have the ifs function. That means that you need updates. If you update it and you still don't have it, that means that you need Office 365, all right? Now, let's go ahead and open our parentheses. Notice how the structure changes. It says logical test 1, value if true 1. With the ifs function, I can actually use the helper. So I'm going to grab the helper right here and start typing down. Now, the ifs function follows the following way. It's going to evaluate, it's going to ask me for a logical test for each and every single one of these lines. And then it's going to tell me, and then it's going to ask me for, well, it's going to give me a result, all right? So I'm going to start from bottom to top, largest to smallest. The first logical test is checking out that the total price is greater than the $3,500 right here, all right? If it is, then we have to offer a 30% discount times the total price. And if it isn't, notice how I got a new logical test right here, all right? This logical test is going to be another check. So this second check is going to be, well, let's figure out if the total price is greater than 2,500, and if it is, then we have to offer a 15% discount. Remember to do the absolute reference thing. Otherwise, times the sale amount. All right. All right. Now, finally, we have logical test 3. Remember how with the nested if we just said, and if else, just do a 0? All right, with the ifs function, we still have to do logical test number 3, which means check out if the total price is greater than 0, in which instance offer a 0% discount. All right, that's it. So we always need as many logical tests as there are possible outcomes when using the ifs function. But notice how we don't have to nest anything, and we can do everything from the function helper. All right, and the final price is going to be, once more, the total price minus the discount amount, and there we go. Now we can just autofill everything down here. I'm going to tell it to fill without formatting, And there we go. You'll notice it offers up the same functionality as the nested if, but in my opinion, it's a little bit more wieldy, all right? It's more intuitive for you to understand this, and you don't have to be opening if after if after if you have more conditions, more criteria to be met. All right, another thing to note, either in the ifs example or in the nested if function, you're limited to 255 if functions or 255 criteria. However, guys, if you find yourself in the situation that you're typing in 255 criteria in one point, do go ahead and wonder where your life took a wrong turn. All right, guys, you shouldn't be in that situation. Now, as I've mentioned, and I will mention again, an approximate search can also replace the if function, all right? An approximate search can also replace the if function. However, it is not a topic for this video. It's going to be for a later on video. Now, guys, with that, I think it's pretty much everything that you need to know about the basics of the if function. These exercises were taken right out of our premium course. And if you're interested in the premium course, you can check out the details below. Now, make sure that if you like the video, that you like, subscribe, and comment. I'd really appreciate it, and I'll see you next week. Do you want to be an Excel god? Our online course will turn you into an Excel master in only 90 days. Excel is the most important tool in the office, but almost nobody knows how to use it. Most people dive right into Excel with no formal training and never use the right tools. And thus, they end up delivering messy reports that are full of mistakes, and they end up hating their jobs. In reality, Excel is really simple to use and can do your job for you, if you know how to use it. But you have to pick the right place to learn from, or you'll only end up more confused with all of the different tools and functions that Excel has to offer you. So, what can you do? Our Excel course is tailor-made for you. We're going to teach you Excel, all of Excel, using real-life examples. From simple exercises to full-fledged business case studies. Take the online course and you'll be an Excel god in only 90 days. The course consists in more than 45 lessons and 15 case studies, all with their detailed solutions completely recorded in video, and you're going to be able to access them whenever you want, whatever you want. Best of all, you're going to have lifetime access to the course, and you're going to get any of the updates that we're constantly putting out for free. Even better, when you get our course, you'll have free access to our full Visual Basic and Macros course, and also to our Power BI course, all with just one single purchase. More than 3,000 students have passed through our classrooms. We've attended companies like Kodak, IBM, Cemex, HP, Continental, DB Schenker, and more. So, if you want to absolutely master Excel, make sure that you sign up now. You will become an Excel god. A2 Excel.